Professor Emeritus at Harvard Law School, author of The Preventative State, and Jeffrey Epstein's former lawyer, Alan Dershowitz. Sir, it's always a pleasure. First, we want to set this up with this. Obviously, you penned a piece in the Wall Street Journal, which aims to set the record straight about the certain details of the Epstein investigation, one of them being the client list. Everyone is talking about this, is what you write. Epstein never created a client list. The FBI interviewed alleged victims who named several clients. These names have been redacted. They should be disclosed, but the courts have ordered them sealed. I know who they are. They don't include any current office holders. We don't know whether the accusations are true. The courts have also sealed negative information about some of the accusers to protect them. Further explain, Professor.
There is nothing here. You know what it reminds me of? Remember when Geraldo Rivera opened up the vault of Al Capone?
Al Capone's vault. I remember that well.
I suspect that when everything has been disclosed, the result's going to be, ho hum, my God. Oh, there's so-and-so. Yeah, but I never heard of him. And there's so-and-so. He's been dead a long time. There's nothing there. There's nothing there about Donald Trump, about Bill Clinton. That's incriminating. There's nothing there about Bill Gates. What happened is that the courts are saying, look, we can't disclose the names of some people unless we also disclose negative information about the accusers. And they don't want to do that because the accusers, they say, are victims. So the courts have withheld certain names and also certain information about accusers. I hope it all comes out. But there's nothing to that. There's no client list. There's no working for the Mossad. There's no evidence that he was murdered. There are no sex tapes. I've gone through everything. It's boring.
So, Professor, basically you're saying there are no bombshells to be dropped, even if everything that has been sealed has been released. There's really nothing there. How even though you've seen everything, how does the president, the DOJ, convince the American public and those still clamoring to hear or to get all of the quote-unquote information that they think is there? How do they get them to believe there is nothing there?
They should file a motion with the courts, the two judges in the federal district court in New York, saying that the government wants these files unredacted and everything released. Nothing should be hidden. At this point, everything should come out. From day one, I've called for everything to be released. I've waived any of my rights of privacy or privilege against self-incrimination or lawyer-client privileges, all of that. The time has come for history to prevail over secrecy. And people have such conspiratorial theories. And the one thing that conspiracy theory people hate are hard facts. And the hard facts show that there's nothing to it. Take, for example, the issue of that he worked for the Mossad. I know that he had nothing to do with the Mossad. I represented the Mossad as a lawyer years ago, and I have very, very good connections in Israel. And I confirmed the fact that he never did have any connection to the Mossad. If he had, first person he would have told was his lawyers, because we would have used it to help him get a better deal. But he never had any connections with the Mossad.
So, Professor, what's driving the fascination then behind this? Is it the conspiracy theorists on social media, or, you know, I'm trying to figure out why. Why does this keep getting driven forward?
Well, it's the perfect storm. You have a guy who's guilty of, you know, pretty awful things. He's led a pretty secret life. He was friendly with some of the most famous people in the world, you know, Bill Gates, presidents of universities, and everything hasn't come out. If everything had come out right in the beginning, I think the story would have evaporated and we wouldn't be hearing any more about Jeffrey Epstein. Also, there's the suicide in prison, because there's a mystery surrounding that. People in prison do not have an easy time committing suicide, especially he had a cellmate, there were video cameras, and there were guards, and all of them were turned off. And so I do think that somebody helped him commit suicide, but I don't see any evidence that he was murdered, although there's one forensic pathologist, Michael Baden, who thinks that the forensic evidence shows that he was murdered. It's possible. I don't know who would have murdered him and how they would have gotten into prison to do the murder, but that's the only mystery I see. Other mysteries, you know, about his relationship with Leslie Wexner, how did he make all of his money? All of those things are fascinating and interesting, but they really have nothing to do with the sex scandal.
Yeah, it sounds like more of a made-for-TV movie should be coming forward. This is interesting to me, Professor, because we know now that a lot of Democratic lawmakers who think there is a bombshell are now getting into the act calling for the release, such as House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. He says that he may support congressional action to force the Trump administration's hand to release documents related to Epstein. Watch this.
Yeah.
The American people deserve to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to this whole sordid Jeffrey Epstein matter. Democrats didn't put the Jeffrey Epstein thing into the public domain. This was a conspiracy that Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and these MAGA extremists have been fanning the flames of for the last several years. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. The American people deserve to know the truth. What, if anything, is the Trump administration and the Department of Justice hiding? What are you hiding?
Professor, what is interesting to me there is if, as you say, and you've seen everything, there is nothing there. Are we going to see these Democratic lawmakers with egg on their face if, as you said, everything that exists, which is nothing, which is boring, you said, is actually released? It seems like they're going down a dangerous path here.
Yeah, but there's one easy way of getting at more truth than we now have. Give Ghislaine Maxwell immunity, bring her in front of Congress, and have her tell the whole story. She knows more than everybody. She was with Jeffrey Epstein for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. She made all the arrangements. When I was his lawyer, she would arrange my flight, she would arrange my hotel. She knows everything. She's the key, and she is basically serving his sentence in prison. She got 20 years for something that, she didn't deserve 20 years for, because he was dead and he couldn't be convicted, and so she became the surrogate for that. And if they give her immunity and bring her in front of Congress, they can ask her any possible question, and she's going to have to answer. So that's the way to get at the bottom of this. There are things, obviously, that I don't know, although I know more than anybody in the media. There are things I don't know, and there are things she does know because, I was just his lawyer, but she was very close to him. She was his girlfriend. She was his assistant. So that's the way to deal with it. Give her immunity, let her testify.
All right, Professor Alan Dershowitz, as you pointed out, there is one person who does know everything, and she's right there. All right, we appreciate your insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.